I love being Generation X or a Gen Xer. As a Gen Xer who grew up in urban West Africa in the 1970s and 80s and came of age in urban India shortly after, it makes my journey towards my authentic, intentional self all the more exciting and fulfilling, albeit in retrospect. There was a time when I was constantly at war with myself because I was raised at a time when it was considered beneficial to be in that state, to constantly judge myself and force myself to contort, to externally set expectations and decisions that at that time seemed necessary even to myself, to often ignore my own intuition and critical thinking skills, my capacity to trust myself with calculated risks and rewards. I was a product of cultural and familial pressure that emerged in our society at a time when, after the destabilizing effects of the World War, the Cold War, the hippies, etc., the world was taking its first official step into the future, a future of globalization, digitization, sexual counter-revolution, consumerism, pop culture, and mass media, all on steroids. An emergent era of plastic and silicon, of a subtly ironic sense of loneliness in a heterogeneous, overcrowded, and shrinking world. A far cry from the simpler, hierarchical, conformative, often agrarian and tradition-driven communities that shaped those who raised us, like our parents, grandparents, and their peers, educators, preachers, researchers, politicians, policymakers, employers, law enforcers, who were as confounded about raising us into adulthood as we were about managing ourselves in a world that suddenly seemed to shift like quicksand. Today, we Gen Xers from around the world, we are often hyper-educated, hardworking, fiercely protective of our parents and offspring and our loved ones, largely law-abiding and incredibly tech-savvy with both old and new technology. We are cultural crucibles, having been randomly bombarded since birth by mass media in every format imaginable from every corner of the globe. We Gen Xers impact the world today in ways that are new, profound, and pervasive, both at home and at work. The future begins with us and seems often solely sustained by us. We are the world's most reluctant and undervalued crisis managers. But with so many of our tribe gradually inheriting the power structures of home, community, industry, culture, and governance today, as we enter our mid-40s and early 50s, there remains a significant, often secret and tragic downside. We are often still at war with ourselves. Beneath our greatest achievements, we often reel with imposter syndrome. The authoritarian critics from our childhoods continue to ravage our soul from within, out of sight beneath our conscious minds, while we strive to navigate our day, depriving us of peace of mind, self-appreciation, creativity, motivation, and our own capacity for self-care. We find ourselves externally referenced at the expense of our authentic selves, and it hurts. We were raised to please our elders, and today we are often chronic people pleasers. We struggle to erect much-needed personal boundaries because very often we don't even know who we are and what we are protecting. For example, we often understand our spouses and our bosses better than we understand ourselves. We're often dangerous saboteurs of self. Our gifts and talents frighten us. Our comfort zones become our prisons. The key remains tantalizingly in the proverbial lock to that prison, and we struggle to reach out and turn it and set ourselves free. But we find one arm weighed down with the fear of failure, and our other arm with the terror of success. We often hesitate to seek effective support for ourselves, sometimes for good reason. Often, turning to friends, loved ones, and so-called experts leaves us feeling drained and lonelier than ever. And we tend to get judged, advised, underestimated, overestimated, manipulated, ignored, misguided, and misinformed. Seeking help from qualified and trained coaches, for elevating one's current performance towards a specific goal. This is often a choice we struggle with as it challenges our own longing for control and agency. But here is a shocking fact. The most successful people in the world today habitually hire coaches. And we Gen Xers are slowly but happily catching on. Some examples of famous and inspiring Gen Xer clients of coaching include Andrea Agassi, Satya Nadella, Hugh Jackman, Serena Williams, Jennifer Aniston, even the famous band Metallica. Rather than secure the services of a trained life coach as a desperate last resort like so many do, the smartest Gen Xers are those who understand that the best way to rally one's gifts, strengths, and talents and one's drive towards the most cherished goals in life begins with securing the right partnership for oneself. Your coach will help you embrace and celebrate your strengths and achievements with zero apologies. Get ready to be fueled by your very own inner sun of self-gratitude. Your coach will help you identify and call out your harshest inner critic and encourage it to be your ally and cheerleader instead. Get ready for being unstoppable with pure self-motivation. Your coach will partner with you in understanding yourself, your own inner representation of the world, and how one can use it to be authentic to oneself with boundaries well secured against the outside world. Your life, your values, your choices. Full stop. Your coach will also help you turn that proverbial key and set yourself free from that prison we mentioned earlier. Taking risks is now a reward in itself, and you have never felt richer and freer. The best coaches are those who set us free from ourselves and, over time, from themselves too. The best coaches are those who embraced a powerful transformational journey for themselves and see the power and possibilities in others around them at all times. They create the right conditions for others who feel ready to embrace their own journey to personal excellence on their own terms. I, of course, speak from my own experience. As a personal strategy coach, I found that my clients were often Gen Xers. Amazing, powerful, often underappreciated individuals who have survived horrific circumstance, provided endless amounts of support, commitment, time, energy, and resources to others with little expected or received in return. They courageously set personal goals, such as businesses, degrees, professions, passions, relationships, lifestyles, too large for their own families to comprehend, and courageously embarked on these journeys all alone, with little support or empathy or resources or expectations from others. On this lonely journey, they encountered their personal adversaries along the way, both internal and external, and intuitively took a chance with me as their coach. It was my honor and privilege to support them to the best of my abilities in their own journey to their desired destination. I strove to create a space of non-judgment, privacy, intuition, freedom, structure, and partnership. I learned to look out for his or her inner smile, that magical moment when they forgot I was there for a few precious seconds, when they met themselves, recognized themselves, and gently smiled at themselves and were forever changed. In that moment, they knew who they were, what they wanted, how to get there. They were intentional and fulfilled at the exact same moment, as was I.